Somebody knows what happened to Candice Kline inside that enclosure. The bear knows. And the open padlock knows. But Candice never got to tell her own story, so we are going to tell it for her. Candice Kline was 24 years old, and she had dedicated her life to animals. She worked at a small private wildlife facility in Cascade, Montana, the kind of place where rescued and captive wild animals lived in large enclosures, cared for by people who loved them deeply. This particular Grizzly had been at the facility since it was a cub, small enough to bottle feed. Candice had been one of the people who raised it. She knew its rhythms, its sounds, its moods. She thought of it almost as hers. Over the years, that cub became a fully grown adult grizzly bear, hundreds of pounds of muscle, instinct, and wild nature. Staff kept detailed logs. They knew the bear well. But knowing a wild animal and understanding what it is capable of are two very different things. The facility had a strict rule: no one enters a large predator enclosure alone. Always two people. Always. The policy existed because wild animals, even ones that seem tame, can switch from calm to lethal in a heartbeat. It was not a suggestion. It was a survival rule. On a morning in August 2024, Candice Kline arrived at work like any other day. Somewhere in her thinking, she decided to clean the grizzly enclosure. There was no second person with her. She went in alone. The enclosure was large. Big enough for a full-grown grizzly to move, to pace, to feel at ease. And the bear was in there. Fully grown. Fully wild, regardless of how many years of human contact had passed. No matter how many years a grizzly lives near humans, it does not become tame. Its instincts, the same instincts that built it over thousands of years, remain completely intact. The bear was not mean. It was simply and exactly what it always was, a wild apex predator. What happened inside that enclosure on that August morning, the full details belong to the official investigation. What is known as this: the bear attacked Candice Kline. She did not survive. When colleagues found her, it was already too late. Colleagues raised the alarm immediately. Emergency services were called. A Cascade County Sheriff's deputy arrived at the facility, along with other first responders. But there was nothing anyone could do for Candice. A Cascade County Sheriff's deputy secured the scene. The facility was locked down. Montana authorities began their investigation. And then came the decision that no one at the facility wanted to make. Montana officials made the call: the bear was euthanized. It is a heartbreaking outcome that follows every fatal attack involving a captive predator. The animal did what its nature told it to do. But it could never be safely managed again. The bear that Candice had raised from a cub was gone too. Investigators confirmed what colleagues already knew: Candice had entered the enclosure alone, in violation of the two-person rule. It was not recklessness, it was the kind of comfort that builds slowly over years of working with an animal, until the danger feels like it has simply gone away. It never had. Candice Kline left behind family, friends, and colleagues who loved her and are still grieving her today. She was 24 years old. She had given her young life to caring for animals, and she genuinely adored every one of them, including the bear that killed her. After Candice died, the wildlife care community heard the same question echo again, the question that follows every tragedy like this. Why did she go in alone? The answer is not simple. Familiarity is not safety. Affection is not protection. And no amount of history with a wild animal changes what that animal fundamentally is. Wildlife experts and accredited zoos have used this case, and others like it, to reinforce one of the oldest rules in the field: no one enters a large predator space alone. Not once. Not even after a lifetime of working with the same animal. The two-person rule is not bureaucracy. It is a life-saving protocol built from loss. Candice Kline was not careless. She was devoted. But devotion and safety are not the same thing when you are standing inside a grizzly bear enclosure. The awareness lesson her death leaves us is one the animal world has taught over and over: a wild animal is always wild. Every single time you forget that, even once, it can cost everything. This story is based on the Cascade County Sheriff's Office incident report and official statements from the Montana Department of Fish, Wildlife and Parks, as reported by NBC News, CBS News, and the Associated Press in August 2024. All events are as publicly reported. Candice Kline was real, her love for animals was real, and her loss is real. Thank you so much for watching and for caring about this story. It means everything that you stayed until the end. Now tell me in the comments, do you think the two-person safety rule should be mandatory law at every captive wildlife facility in the country? Drop your answer below, and follow the page so you never miss another story that matters.